Navy SEALs fired for refusing COVID vaccine for religious reasons score major win against Biden administration. By the way, that's another example of, the Republicans want to establish under Donald Trump a dictatorship, threat to democracy. You must take the COVID vaccine or you will lose your job. You will lose an ability to feed your family. That worthless vaccine. It's pretty established now that it was worthless. It hurt a lot of people. It may have helped some people. It may have. But it was experimental to begin with. It wasn't a vaccine as we understand vaccines with a live or dead virus. That whole era, science disgraced itself. Not science, scientists. They disgraced themselves. Let's see here. Thousands of Navy SEALs and service members negatively impacted by President Joe Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandate scored a major win in court after a years-long legal battle. The mandate enacted in August 2021 led to the forced firing of over 8,000 service members who refused the shot on religious or medical grounds. Thank God it was all medical. You shouldn't force people into a religious category. I don't want to take the shot. I agree with you that you can't meddle with people's control over their own body. It's so amazing. You can take another life under the rubric of a woman can do what she wants with her own body, but it's not her body, it's another body. But when it really is her body, as in the case of the COVID shot, then you have no rights whatsoever. You must take it, or you lose your career. It's over. Navy SEALs and other special operators suffered professional setbacks. By the way, I'm very curious. If you had to fight a war with particularly courageous service people, would you choose first or last the 8,000 service members who refused the vaccine? I'd like you to answer that. You had to have particularly courageous people doing the fighting, members of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines. So, would you want first or last the 8,000 service members who refused the vaccine? I ask it as a rhetorical question because I know whom I would choose. The courageous outliers. I won't be bullied into potentially ruining my life. They didn't get anything right. Nothing. They got everything wrong. And some of us said it at the time, incidentally. I'm one of them. And I'm not vaccinated. And I got COVID twice. It was so mild that I broadcast my show from my home when I had it. Navy SEALs and other special operators suffered professional setbacks for refusing the vaccine, despite having their religious accommodation request denied multiple times. As I said, I don't think that... I'm sad that they had to enter some religious argument, and I'm religious, but I don't want... You can't tell me to do this. If in fact, if the COVID vaccine, the mRNA vaccine, if that really protected people against COVID, why do you care whether or not I'm vaccinated? They were fired, denied trainings to advance in rank, and in some cases even forced by the military to repay their initial signing bonuses, between $4,000 and $7,000. SEALs and other special operations warfare troops were also told they would have to pay back the cost of their training by the federal government, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and hand over their hard-earned Trident pin. The hatred of those in the armed forces who refused to take the vaccine. I mean, hatred. Whatever they could do, the thugs who have risen in the ranks of some of our armed forces. I mean, really, it's truly a disgrace. How can we humiliate? How can we destroy people who said no to a vaccine? Healthy young people, overwhelmingly not killed by COVID. Overwhelmingly. According to the settlement first obtained by dailymail.com, service members who quit the Navy after being mistreated will have their records corrected. That's really amazing. This is big news. In addition, the Navy also agreed to post a statement affirming the Navy's respect for religious service members. But what about an atheist or a non-religious person who just said, I don't want to meddle with my health. This thing's an experimental vaccine. The military will provide more training for the actual commanders who review religious accommodation requests. The government will pay $1.5 million in attorney's fees that accumulated over nearly 4 years of litigation. Well, this has been a long and difficult journey, but the Navy SEAL never, this Navy SEAL, although, no, he said but the Navy SEALs never gave up. Danielle Runyon, senior counsel at First Liberty Institute, told Daily Mail. We are thrilled that those members of the Navy who were guided by their conscience and steadfast in their faith will not be penalized. Yep, well, I ask this question periodically. Given how much lying, deceit, and incompetence pervaded the scientific world with regard to masks, lockdowns, distances, ruining so many young people's lives because of lockdowns of schools, why do you believe them on anything else? Isn't a massive lie, whether intentional or not? How about a massive falsehood? Okay, nice people who lied to you. I don't even want to attack them. I only their credibility. Why would you listen to them on global warming, for example? Again, it's like the people on the left, whether in science or in anything else, they just don't pay a price. The harm done by the lockdowns, the staggering harm, proven at the time by Sweden, which didn't lock down, and which had its schools open for kids up to 16 years of age the entire time. I kept pointing to Sweden. And then people say, well, other Scandinavian countries had a lower death rate. Well, as it turns out, if you look over the course of years, if it is true, it is only true among a very select group, very old people in nursing homes, and for which Sweden is deeply regretful. But it had nothing to do with the fact that Sweden didn't lock down. And then there was the preventing people from having loved ones with them when they died. That was a cruelty that should never be forgiven.